So thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed it, felt it was useful. Now let's get into this. So Chris Eubank Jr. has given an interview here with TalkSport, and he's touched on two things. One, he's touched on the possibility of facing Canelo Alvarez, and he's also had his say on his thoughts on Joe Saunders and on Joe Saunders missing out on the Canelo fight, at least for now. So this is exactly, I'm going to read this now here. This is exactly what Chris Eubank Jr. told TalkSport. It says, with Canelo, that is the fight that I'm gunning for. And I've been saying it for a long time. In an ideal world, I would not want to fight him in a non-crowd event. But that's the question. Do you take what you can get? So obviously Eubank Jr. is saying that if he was to fight Canelo, he doesn't want it behind closed doors. Well, I doubt he's going to fight him in September. Well, yeah, I know he's going to fight him at all. But if he was fighting in September, probably behind closed doors. December, hit and a miss. He goes on to say, I don't really think that I'm that kind of fighter. I'm the #1 contender in the WBA, so it's not like I'm not there. It's a tough one because I do really want that fight, but I feel like the fans would get robbed. There are people who would want to be there to watch that. That's an arena fight, a stadium fight. But again, I'm there to win the belts. I'm there to fight the big names. Alright, he then goes on to say that basically he's having his kind of say on Joe Saunders and things like that as well. You know, but he also goes on to say, I couldn't find it there. I knew he'd said more, but I actually couldn't find it. I thought I was seeing things. So he goes on to say, that's such a huge fight, him and Canelo. A hard fight. It's not easy. It's a dangerous fight. So you'd want to be rewarded. As far as I've heard, my name is not in the mix for the smaller options. I don't think they would ever use me as a stepping stone for bigger fights. I think I'm the biggest fight in the middleweight division for sure. Fan-friendly opponent for Canelo, I think. So, before I go in and say what do you say about Joe Saunders, Eubank Jr. is insisting that he is the biggest fight for Canelo. Now, I want to know what happened to the Charlo fight, because that fight was being discussed since December of last year, and it just seems to be just gone. You know, no mention really from Charlo's end, no mention, the odd mention from Eubank's end, but he swaps around so quick and he starts, you know, mentioning Canelo. In terms of Eubank Jr. versus Canelo, I think Canelo would have a field day with Eubank Jr. Whether he's with Roy Jones or not, you know, you've some people who've said that they feel as though how can Roy Jones not be a good coach for Eubank Jr. when considering how good he was in his career? And it's like, well, that's most of the time, the majority of the time, good fighters don't make good coaches. Just because you're with someone who's done a lot of good things in their career, it doesn't mean it's going to rub off and have the same effect on you or their fighters. You know, if you look at football, for example, many of the best football managers have been, you know, reasonably poor footballers. You know, if you look at some of the good coaches in the UK, like a good example would be Dave Colwell. Dave Colwell's a decent coach. He was area level in his pro career. You know, very good coach, highly rated, area level pro fighter. That's a fact. He only ever won an area title. You know, so when you see people say that, you know, he's with Roy Jones, so he's obviously going to be, well, it's not always that straightforward. You know, it isn't always that straightforward, and you'll always find that with some coaches who've been, you know, very, very good in their pro careers, they do tend to think that, you know, well, maybe my fighter should be like me, or, you know, he'll have the same kind of skill set as I have, which is not the case. You know, there's different fighters have different skills and weaknesses. So Eubank Jr. with Roy Jones, again, we'll need to see, but as from what I've seen of him already in his career, Canelo would have a field day with him. But then he was asked about his old rival Joe Saunders, okay, and basically was asked about his thoughts on Joe missing out on the Canelo fight, because we all know Joe was set to make something like $8 million to fight Canelo on May the 2nd. Obviously it didn't happen. Now he's gone on to say that that's what he deserves. The guy's a lowlife. He's an extremely bad representative for the sport that we all love. Why should he fight someone like Canelo when he's gonna go in there and try and survive for the money? That's the type of guy Joe Saunders is. So it's a good thing he's not fighting. So Eubank Jr. again having his say on Billy Joe Saunders. Now, he's seemingly happy that Billy Joe hasn't got the Canelo fight. Doesn't feel like he deserves it. Feels like Billy Joe's a lowlife. And definitely Billy Joe has definitely done some things that have offended people. Now, not necessarily me, but other people, you know, with regards to some of the videos he's done. I think the video he did where, you know, what was it? Was he offering like a crackhead money or something like that? Yeah, that was stupid. Yeah, that was stupid. But, and I'm not laughing because it's funny, I'm laughing because how ridiculous it is. It was stupid. But, you know, Billy Joe, he has no filter. I think Billy Joe, and I think Billy Joe, well, he obviously has a very dark sense of humour, which is not a bad thing, but he's no filter, Billy Joe, and he does do things that, especially in today's society with social media, with the way everyone is, that shit's going to get you in trouble. There's no ways around it. All right, that shit's going to get you into trouble. You know, we live in a fucked up society where everyone's pissed off about everything. You know, so yeah, that shit gets you in trouble. But with regards to what you said about Billy Joe running and looking for a payday, I doubt that. I think if Billy Joe fought Canelo, he would go in there to win, because Billy Joe would be getting paid $8 million or pounds. I'm not sure which way it would be, but he'd be getting paid $8 million to fight Canelo. If you beat Canelo, you ain't getting paid $8 million for the rematch. You are getting, you know, crazy money, you know, baseball number money. Seriously, so it's very hard thing to do, not because Canelo has, you know, the benefit of the doubt from judges, but Canelo is extremely talented. He's one of the best fighters in the world, so it's easier said than done to beat Canelo. But if you do beat Canelo, the money you were going to make in the rematch is night and day, so it's well in your incentive to win. Definitely, you're not just going to go in there knowing, okay, I have 8 million, I could just dance around the ring and survive for 12 rounds, I get this, but if I win, I could be getting 20 million, maybe more. So yeah, I don't think some of the things Eubank Jr. said there, you know, about Billy Joe. Him and Billy Joe have beef. We know they've had beef for years. In terms of him, you know, being the best fight for Canelo in terms of fan friendly, I don't know about that necessarily. I think Canelo would counter Eubank Jr. to death. I really do. So those are my thoughts on that. Eubank Jr. just having a rant, having a say about Canelo and Billy Joe. Let me know your thoughts down below. Would you be interested in seeing Eubank Jr. versus Canelo? And if you did, who do you think would win? You know, I've given my say on it, but maybe I'm selling Eubank Jr. short. Let me know yours down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you are new. And as always, I will talk to you.